living God, rise fresh in our minds this day. Radiate from our open hearts. This very day, in this very hour, we willingly gift our attention, focusing upon your presence and power. And that is the beginning of our freedom, our healing, our blessing in every way. Thanks be to God that it is so. I invite you to join with me in our statement of being. Together, there is but one presence and one power in my life, in this church, and in the universe. God, the omnipotent good. I welcome all of you to Unity South Twin Cities this morning for our time together in this sanctuary, and I welcome our friends online who have joined us from various cities and states in this country, adding their consciousness, their attention and focus upon the celebration of this hour, this Good Sunday. For those who are online, I invite you to use chat stream or any way that you can to send this service out to your network of friends. Someone in your network may find this a blessing today. For those present in the sanctuary, please silence your phones and other devices. Our team today is Judy Moen, our music director, and new guests. You have known Tyler Stromquist-LeVoir from being on our live stream, but you may not know of his great music ability. So he is here with his wife, Annalie Nelson, and they are going to share their gift of music with us this morning. And I know I am looking forward to see what happens. Our live stream producer today is Adam Schneider. And just a quick thank you. It was not too long ago that you received an e-blast message if you were on our e-newsletter list, bringing you up to date on our church finances and where we can grow for our greater prosperity. And I do thank those of you who stepped forward to make an extra gift to help us move through this summer. So thank you for your generosity. So it's time for our opening song. I'm inviting Carlotta forward to get us going. We greet the Spirit. Words are on the back of your bulletin, but I think you know it well. Tell you we're in fine form this morning and fine voice. That's a good way for us to get started. So let us at this time acknowledge the presence. We may be quite aware of Spirit's presence within us individually, but we need to make the practice of always acknowledging that Christ within one another, within all, within our world. There's an old unity affirmation, old, way back when. And it says, the truth you know for yourself, you must know for others, or you didn't get it in the first place. So to be aware of that divine presence in yourself, you must know it in your neighbors. And ultimately in all people, even those who challenge you or those you may not understand, there is still a guiding presence in them. So let's take this time to look around the room and silently or out loud speak the truth. We behold the Christ in you. And I invite you to turn to the back entrance, to the camera there, as we want to acknowledge this truth, and all of those who are joining us invisibly online, wave at them, and let's speak together. We behold the Christ in you. Thank you, dear friends. So now, it is my pleasure to invite Prayer Chaplain Yvette Trotman to the platform. I said I wish I would have worn something a little brighter so that I could go along with Yvette, but she brings the brightness in many ways into this community. Thank you, Yvette.
Good morning, Unity South community, here and online. Today's daily word is generous. As I give, I share God's abundance. The limitless resources of infinite spirit flow through my loving heart and clear mind as a never-ending supply of divine ideas. I always have all that I need to live abundantly, and I share my abundance with others joyfully and freely. I give generously of my resources, talents, and skills, happy to support those I care about. I am generous with praise, gratitude, and encouragement. I give generously of my time. I am a good friend, a devoted family member, and a compassionate listener. Whenever I give without thought of reciprocation, I center myself in the divine flow. I am a grateful, trusting recipient of Spirit's unfailing generosity and a conduit through which all of God's blessings flow. A generous person will be enriched, and one who gives water will get water. Proverbs 11:25. And friends, we're preparing now for our community prayer as we acknowledge the value and power of praying together and draw our attention toward the presence and power of God right here, right now. Let us quiet our thoughts and our bodies as we prepare our minds for receiving God's presence this morning by selecting a comfortable space of our choosing. Gently rest or soften your gaze and remove any outside distractions during this sacred moment. Together, let's take a deep, cleansing breath. Let's take another breath, and as you do that, think of these words: be still and know. Today's silent unity affirmation is, I thrive in the healing stream of divine life. I agree with God, the source of eternal vitality. Whenever I feel well, unwell, weak, I turn to life. I agree with an ever-flowing stream of life, continually renewing and blossoming in every way. I celebrate my capacity to heal and to thrive each and every day, nourishing my divine life. Friends, when faced with difficulties, I agree. God is the one and only source of good in my life. I feel the healing currents of life, free and flowing abundantly into and through my soul and body. I feel it renewing, redeeming, and uplifting me as eternal vitality. There is no circumstance or condition with any power to limit me. Spirit is continually meeting my needs in countless and unseen ways. I am committed to revealing God in my life. I am the vision of wholeness. I'm relying on the truth that God is my source. I choose to live in the flow and circulation, knowing that I'm an individual expression of God's rich abundance and unlimited love. I am love, and I release this with love. I have the capacity to face any problems or challenges in my daily life as lessons to teach me what I need to learn for a greater purpose. I acknowledge the prayers Unity South has received. We behold and affirm the truth within these individuals. As we pray, we know that Spirit is working in their lives and in the lives of all of us here right now. Be still and know as we sing the Lord's Prayer.
Thank you, Yvette. A reminder that our good prayer chaplain, Yvette, is available after the service in the back of the sanctuary. And of course, it's a time that you can ask her to pray with you over a concern in your life, but you can also ask her to pray for a celebration, or even simply say, Yvette, praise me. Behold the truth in me. We giggle, but that's a wonderful blessing to have someone stand with you in prayer and affirm the truth within you, the truth of your very being. And that is a blessing I would encourage you to take advantage of every Sunday you're here. There's always a prayer chaplain available. And now, it is my special privilege to invite new musicians to the platform so that we may know them in a way we have not known them before. So thank you for sharing your gifts. Let's open our hearts and receive this abundant beauty.
This first song is called "This Is Just So Beautiful," and I think our favorite thing about this song, and correct me if I'm wrong, Annalie, is that we love to do this song and get those we share it with to sing along with us. So we'll teach you a couple really simple parts here, and when that part of the song comes up, we'd love to have you generously share your voices with us. Okay. So there's a lower part and a higher part, and we encourage you to sing whichever part and in whatever octave feels good to you. So here's the low part. So listen once and then sing along. Oh, 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 oh. So join me if you'd like. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Here's the high part. Oh, 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 oh,
sound like together. Oh, 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 oh. Good. So when we get to that part in the song, you'll hear that we sing the O's and join in with us. And then after about 4 times through, we'll go to the chorus. We want you to keep singing the O's until the very last line. We'll cut you off there. So it'll be really, really fun, and you sound wonderful. Thanks for joining in with us. And an unintended benefit of doing that just now is partway through that I realized I'd never turned the master volume on my guitar on. So we are set to go at the start of the song. Don't have to restart or anything. Here we go. Little sparrow is serenading me, brand new melodies, song so sweet. The rose's aroma is flying in the breeze. I close my eyes, breathing deep. Yesterday is gone. Today I can see, oh, today I can see my, for the very first time. I wave goodbye, bye to what used to weigh me down. My, everything's alright. Sun is shining down, I'm looking all around. This is just so beautiful. This is just so beautiful. Felt forgiveness in the deep recesses of my soul. I was so empty, now I'm full, I'm whole. World is cold and so very, very cruel, but the sparrow and the roses remind me there's still so much good. Yesterday is gone.
all around. This is just so beautiful.
Here it comes. Just the low part first. Oh, 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 oh. Keep going. My, for the very first time, wave goodbye, bye, bye, to who used to weigh me down. Oh, my, everything's alright. Sun is shining down, I'm looking all around. This is just so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your voices so generously.
Thank you, Tyler and Annalie. That gives me kind of a musical version to something a Unity friend probably 40 years ago said, you know, when you're in conversation with someone and they're taking the conversation in a negative direction, a nice neutralizing response is, oh, Carlotta, oh. So now I've learned a melody to go with that. Oh is neither agreement nor disagreement. It's just, oh. So now, So, thank you. We learn something new at Unity South each week. Well, I wanted to begin today with a story. One of my favorites I've heard over the years. It's the story of the farmer's son. One day in late summer, not unlike this, an old farmer was working in his field with his old sick horse. The farmer felt compassion for the horse and desired to lift its burden. So he let his horse loose to go to the mountains and live out the rest of its life. Soon after, neighbors from the nearby village came and visited him, offering all their condolences, and said, what a shame. See, they didn't say, oh. They said, what a shame. Now your only horse is gone. How unfortunate you are. You must be very sad. How will you live, work the land, and prosper? The farmer replied, who knows? We shall see. 2 days later, the old horse came back, rejuvenated after its meandering on the mountainsides while eating the wild grasses. The horse came back with 12 younger, healthier horses that followed the old horse into the corral. Word got out in the village of the old farmer's good fortune, and it wasn't long before the neighbors stopped by to congratulate the farmer on his good luck. How fortunate you are, they exclaimed. You must be very happy. Again, the farmer said, who knows? We'll see. At daybreak on the next morning, the farmer's only son set off to attempt to train the new wild horses, but was thrown to the ground and broke his leg. One by one, the villagers arrived during the day to bemoan the farmer's latest misfortune. Oh, what a tragedy! Your son won't be able to help you farm with a broken leg. You'll have to do all the work yourself. How will you survive? You must be very sad. Calmly going about his usual business, the farmer answered, "Who knows? We'll see." Several days later, a war broke out. The emperor's men arrived in the village demanding that the young men come with them to be conscripted into the emperor's army. As it happened, the farmer's son was deemed unfit to serve the emperor because of his broken leg. "What very good fortune you have!" the neighbors exclaimed as their own young sons were marched away to battle. "You must be very happy." Again he replied, "Who knows? We'll see." As time went on, the son's broken leg healed, but the son was left with a slight limp. Again the neighbors came to pay condolences. "Oh, what bad luck," they said. "Too bad for you." But the old farmer simply replied, "Who knows? We'll see." As it turned out, the other young village boys all died in the war, and the old farmer and his son were the only able-bodied men capable of working the village lands. The old farmer became wealthy and was very generous to the villagers. They said, "Oh, how fortunate we are! You must be very happy." To this, the old farmer replied, "Who knows? We'll see." Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore often reminded us, when adverse conditions appear, count it all joy. For these times of deviating from the right are the result of the Spirit of good doing a much needed housekeeping work. Once you become master of yourself, you will not stir up a dust of negativity when you discover some hidden corner of your mind that needs to be free. Like the old farmer, we shall see and determine what is true within our own response to any circumstance. Well, this week, I want to conclude this three-part series of wisdom from the Bible. I attempted to look at the creation stories that take us from the very beginning of the Bible to the very end, but without all the details, to see what is the idea that we can gain for our own lives, the creative principle that is told in the book of Genesis and the creation, told as we looked last week at the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And today, to turn to that most mysterious book, the book of Revelation, or the apocalypse of John. What is to come? That Genesis story, we kind of boiled down to let there be light. Let creation come forth. Let us realize that life is bringing forth our very being, all of humanity, all of nature, all of the universe is God's declaration. Let there be. And that as we looked last week to John's Gospel, the Word became flesh. The divine impulse of creation came and dwelt within us and among us. We do not walk this life alone. We journey with a partner, with a divine impulse. In our tradition, we speak of it as the Christ within. In Jesus' day, he told his listeners, "You believe in God. the universal, the power of all, the source of all. Believe also in me, the divine presence within you, within one another, within us all. And now we turn to Revelation, the book that closes the Hebrew and Christian Bible with its prophecy, its mighty images of what is to come. I want to read just a short excerpt from that huge book of images and stories. From the 21st chapter. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne declaring, "See, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. He will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away." And the one who was seated on the throne declared, "See, I am making all things new." The insightful author of many books on the Bible, Marcus Borg, in his book Reading the Bible Again for the First Time, comments on this apocalypse or revelation. He says, how are we to read all this? How are we to interpret the visions and the images of this strange, violent, unsettling, and yet magnificent book? He says, I will describe two ways of reading the book. And he goes on to say we can see Revelation as a futurist reading of something that will one day be, or we can see it as a historical story. The writer, John of Patmos, lived in the first century, and perhaps he was telling this whole story to his time, because frequently he describes these are events that are coming very soon. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember the futurist version in the 1970s. I was in college. I moved from Missouri to Houston, Texas to go to school, and I was looking for a Baptist church because that's what I had grown up with. And every place I visited was talking about the end times, the end of the world. There was an extremely popular and huge bestseller at that time by Hal Lindsey, The Late Great Planet Earth. And it was scary, taking the images and the stories from Revelation and showing how they were about to happen. The end of the world was coming. We must be prepared. And for me, I thought, this isn't what I'm looking for in a spiritual community that dwells on the whole story of earth and humanity is going to hell in a handbasket. I thought, that doesn't really encourage me to live life and to consider how I relate with others, how I can be a creative, blessing presence in the world if I spend all my time looking at how it's all just going down the drain. So Marcus Borg says, well, you know, perhaps this story that John reveals in the great apocalypse this version. Perhaps he was speaking to people of his own time in the first century. And Borg goes on to tell how all of these visions may have related to first century Rome. But then he goes beyond that and begins to present a metaphysical interpretation. I said a metaphysical interpretation. That's the unity tradition. What does this story mean to me? How can I see these ideas working through my life, my community, my world? What's going on here? Returning to Myrtle Fillmore's phrase, as master of yourself, you can see the truth unfolding in the midst of chaos and suffering. You become what the Buddhist tradition names the observer. You can see the events of your life from a mountaintop perspective. You don't get lost in the details, but you see what is unfolding. Suddenly, I heard the idea that in times of change, there must be a goodbye before there can be a hello. Unity minister Tom Thorpe created the same sequence that I'm trying to draw from creation. Let there be light. From the Gospel of John, the creative Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And now from Revelations, behold, I make all things new. Reverend Thorpe presented a sequence that seems so simple, but I believe it gets to the same idea. And his phrase was, show up, pay attention, respond in love. And it seems to me to be the same sequence. God brought us into being. We show up. We're here. The divine presence indwells us, is with us, walks life with us. Pay attention to what's really going on in your life and your world. And then that final statement, respond in love. If you've read the book of Revelation, you know the tremendous violent stories. Armageddon, the world at war, all destroyed except the elect. But I like to dwell on this statement. Behold, pay attention. I am making all things new. Even where you're suffering through an ending, it's so a new beginning may come forth. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, wrote, right in the midst of the most desperate situation, one can proclaim the presence and power of Christ, and that is the first mental move in dissolving the darkness. I have to read that again because I think it is such a profound idea that Fillmore left us. Right in the midst of the most desperate situation, one can proclaim the presence and power of Christ, and that is the first mental move you make in dissolving what seems like darkness to you. This week, the current CEO of Unity World Headquarters, Jim Blake, wrote, It can be difficult at times to reconcile the appearance of seeming chaos and divisiveness that we see in our world. At the same time, each of us is a completely unique expression with unique gifts, and we have somehow been called to be here now. I am reminded that chaos precedes great change. May each use his or her unique expression of consciousness and faith, and our acts of service, whether great or small, will contribute to a greater good that will emerge from this period of great change. We give thanks for the good that is coming and our opportunity to lend our hearts, minds, and spirits to this great unfolding. How do you deal with these times in which we live? We may have personal challenges, difficult circumstances in our life. Our spiritual community may be struggling to come out of the past 2 years, to rebuild its activity and its financial strength to go forward. Our state, our nation. We know from the nightly news our whole world seems in turmoil. But as Jim Blake said, we each have gifts. And you get to determine, what are you going to focus on? What are you going to focus on? What are you going to give your will, your activity to support? Is it the, ain't it awful? This feels like the end of the world. Or at least the end of my career, or my relationship, or my community. Is it? Is it? Rudolf Steiner said something very intriguing to me, that the Spirit, the power behind everything, he said, works on the edge of what is becoming, what is unfolding. Have you ever noticed or discovered in your own life, or in groups you're involved with, a feeling of, ooh, the energy is getting kind of heavy and low, like this? And then if you look real carefully, I bet you'll discover that low energy is coming from the fact that you or a group are doing the same things, the same old ways, over and over again, and the energy drops. We need the change, that awful word that makes some of us shudder. Change? Change? I don't want change. I like things to stay the same. Well, my friends, they don't. Life changes. And I'm not saying it's all about just put on a happy face. Last week, in the newsletter, if you'd like to read it thoroughly, I quoted in that something from Richard Rohr that says there is transformation when you live the experiences of your life all the way. That is, when you really feel them, you really think about them. And it's not always easy and it's not always pleasant. But if you really show up to that, the blessing will be you'll catch a new vision, a new possibility, something new. I've told you many times, you can probably almost quote it back to me, The minister's secret. When you have a particular theme you wish to present on Sunday, oh boy, that week, the opportunities you get. I'm real careful when I think about speaking on forgiveness or endurance because I get challenges. But something not so funny. Friday, I got word that a dear friend of mine, someone I've known in Unity for 40 years, he stood beside me in ministry through the years, even my last ministry before I came to be with you. He helped me through caring for my mother until her passing. He was always there with a helping hand and a smile. And I got the news Friday that he's suddenly ill with a metastasizing cancer. So I'll be leaving Wednesday to drive to Missouri to see him. And when I first heard that news, it felt like the end of my world. Everything was falling apart. I'm in the habit of talking to him every day or at least every other day. And it's not a time now that he can answer the phone, encourage me, bring some humor to me when my schedule is heavy. Lindy called Friday to see how the office was going since we're in this transition period. What's going on? You don't sound good. Is that I've been crying? But I turned to phrases such as Yvette wisely offered this morning. Be still and know that I am God. This message in Revelation, when the hailstones are crashing down on your world, and things are hard, and you're grieving, that still silent voice within says, behold, I am making all things new. And so I want to go this week. I want to be with my friend. At this unknown time, we don't know exactly how things will unfold. But I want to be a witness. I want to hold that truth and to know that trust is born when we can say goodbye, and healing and hope and wholeness are born as we hear that hello, the new that is coming. And I know, as I experience my experience fully, and don't run from it, which is a temptation. I could avoid it. I could not make this trip this week. But I have to be there. And that's the only way I will hear the hello of Spirit saying, I am dawning in the life of my friend. There will be a dawning of new life to come, of a great new experience when the time of passing comes. To me, that is this closing story, this creative act at the end of the Bible. I hear it in those words, "Behold, I am making all things," not just the fun things, not just the pretty things, not just the easy things. I am making all things new. Stand and be a witness to what is coming. Let us take a moment and experience this inwardly. I invite you to turn your attention within. As we enter the silence, Yvette said it well from the Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. Another line from the Psalms tells us, I am a very present help. I am a very present help. So I invite you to bring into your attention anything that may be challenging you at this time, anything that may be changing, that may seem to be ending in your life, in a relationship, in a career, any ending to your hopes and dreams. And to show up to it, to pay attention to it, and to respond in love. That is, to behold it with an open heart and an open mind. That openness that our old farmer displayed in the expression, who knows? We shall see. Don't define, don't engrave in stone your judgment of this circumstance or relationship or happening in your life, declaring it to be evil and bad. The end time. Because when you do, then you engrave your own attention in that declaration of catastrophe, tragedy, hopelessness. You are a creative agent. Look at that situation with an open mind, an open heart, and hear deep within yourself, I make all things new. Realizing that trust is born as you say goodbye to the passing. And healing and wholeness are born as you hear the hello of what is becoming. Wow. Isn't it amazing what creative agents, what artists our God has made of us. That we can see the truth, the possibility coming forth from every circumstance, every experience, if we show up to it. We pay attention to the truth in it, and we respond in love. That is openness and faith in God. And so it is. I invite you to allow your attention to return to our gathering here in this sanctuary. And in your own way, give a silent blessing of how powerful, creative you are as God's artist in this world. And so it is. And I invite our musicians to prepare for their next gift. And I'd like to remind you, we are grateful for all the gifts that are sent by mail, given online, through PayPal, or received in this sanctuary. Together, focused in our unity of purpose, we'll keep this ministry energized to complete its important mission. What is that mission? That everyone who turns to Unity South Twin Cities, who enters our doors, meets us online, that anyone will find that they are embraced, that they're loved and appreciated, and that they are empowered, because we always hold to the potential and possibility within them. Those of you watching online may use unitysouth.org to make your donation. And now, let's hear, Annalie has moved to the piano. What's going to happen next?
I used to be afraid of fear, but every time I feel it, something good's about to happen, and suddenly I'm somewhere that I shouldn't be. But I am right where I should be. I am right where I should be. Everyone said I couldn't, which is why I did it. Oh, I am right where I should be. Oh, oh, oh. I used to be afraid of failure. Oh, but every time I'm failing, something great's about to happen, and suddenly I'm somewhere that I shouldn't be. Oh, but I am right where I should be. I am right where I should be. Everyone said I couldn't, which is why I did it. Oh, I am right where I should be. Oh, oh, oh.
where I should be. Oh, oh,
Because I'm going to try this week, and I encourage the rest of you to practice. Whenever you feel that you're up against the wall, oh, 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 I'm right where I should be. That is a realization of your creativity. I am right where I should be. I'm thinking about that, and a clap for Joe. I didn't want to have to walk around with a camera all over the sanctuary today. I'm so glad that you're doing it, because he is helping to bring us something new. And speak of something new, let's take a moment. These gifts here are a gesture of our coming together as a community. Freely giving what we used to call mine, and we now call ours. The power of our community. Father, Mother, God, we give thanks that you are our individual prosperity, and through our willingness you become our community good, that we send forth to bless this ministry, and by extension our community, our state, our nation, our world. The gifts we give, we do not know how far they will ripple through life. Thanks be to God for this good. Well, Carlotta, it's your turn. I invite everybody to stand and sing as we get another light melody on our lips and sing Keep on the Sunny Side. Words are on your bulletin, but you know them. I don't know how many times we'll do it. We just have to follow Judy. Here we go. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way if we keep on the sunny side of life. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. On the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all our way if we keep on the sunny side of life. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all our way if we keep on the sunny side of life. I'd like to play with those words and say, keep on the creative side of life. At this time, let us close our celebration together with the words of our prayer for protection and really take this in deeply so that it can be your blessing all of this coming week. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, my friends. I know there are great treats downstairs. Thank next to Francine Evans. Go down there and take advantage of all that she's laid out for us. Have a good week.